Imagine moving to a new country at 18 and your survival plan is cake. Freezing weather and everything unfamiliar, yet somehow she builds a life rooted in confidence and quiet contentment. This is Made It Here, and this is Ronke's story.
My name is Ronke. I do not like the sound of my own voice. I like food. I like weird things that other people probably think doesn't make sense, like farming and growing stuff. Yeah, I think that's it. I'm basic. From watching my grandparents grow most of the food that they ate in a tiny, tiny village, they each had farms, they had like chickens. I think when we think about it in like a modern landscape, we think about like the trad wife. But I think Nigerian grandmothers are like the OG trad wives. The fact that you could just grow a seed of corn and you could have like 2,000 seeds from that one seed fascinated me when I was a kid. So I was raised in a tiny village in Kwara State. Super close to Offa is how I would describe it. So a town of maybe like 3,000 people. So I grew up with my grandmother. I was raised by my grandmother and my grandfather. Lost my grandfather super early in my young life. So I always just go back to my grandmother. And one of my fondest memories is beside the house, they had a well. Like a well where you would go in and fetch water. So there was a flood that came through during one rainy season and it literally washed the well away. Like the entire concrete of the well got washed away. But because it was like the primary source of water for the house, we would still go and collect water from it. It was pretty much like a hole in the ground that you collected water from. And every time I dream now as an adult, every time I think back to growing up in Nigeria, that's where my mind goes for some reason. I don't know why. It reminds me of survival. A lot of us that have kind of like, had the opportunity to leave Nigeria, come abroad, I think we live in this mindset of always better. Like, I think that's what we think about. It's like, oh, I have a Toyota, somebody is driving a Lamborghini. It can always be better. But I think for me, it grounds me in the fact that wherever I'm at in life, things can always be worse. I live in this state of contentment because I just know that, yes, better is good, but worse is worse. Anybody that's kind of like experienced that like quote unquote village life in Nigeria, there's this unspoken rules of commerce, unspoken rules of existence. If somebody is selling akara, that's mama akara. So akara is bean fritters. It's like a plant-based protein source that people typically would enjoy at breakfast time. Like somebody else will go and sell a cord, they'll sell pap or something. So there's that rule of like everybody just coexisting in a way that's benefit without really talking about it. That constant call to buy is something that I experienced a lot when I was a child. Somebody who is selling, say, hey, I'm here, come buy this. So the call to buy really takes me back to being young and growing up in Nigeria. I never felt like I lacked anything. Even when, we had to get water from a well, even, other people had like running water or borehole, other people had, refrigeration. We cooked everything. Breakfast was made fresh. Lunch was made fresh, because you weren't keeping food for the next, whatever it is, right? So that experience shaped my life in a way that I'm always content in whatever season I'm in life. Nigeria taught me to be a confident person. That is very, very important, especially when you leave home at 18 to foreign land and, you're required to survive. When you're in Nigeria, and you're thrown into a boarding school when you're 10, you learn to speak up, you learn to be confident, you learn to kind of like be independent at a very young age. So I think those values really shaped how I approach life. By the time I was maybe in like SS2, it was already said that, oh, you're going to go abroad for your university education. It wasn't my dream. It was dreamt for me. I would say that the idea was told to me. Yeah, pretty much like, you're not staying here, my dear. You're going somewhere. Where that is, I don't know, but you're going. I remember my dad calling me one day and saying, where would you like to go? And I just said, Canada. I said, Canada, sounds interesting. Sounds like, more independence. Let's go. I was 18 when I came. For me, I was just excited. It was like, okay, let's go. What's next? And so it was more excitement really than apprehension. Cake from Cakes and Cream. That was my hand luggage. I'm very serious. That was my hand luggage. I held that cake. It was the the undecorated cakes. And yes, that was my hand luggage all the way from Lagos to Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. And that cake fed me for about 2 weeks after I got here. In December, it was cold. It was like minus 30 something. I was clueless. I was supposed to go to university residence. I didn't know it was closed over the Christmas break. So when I landed, I was actually homeless. But fortunately for me, I was in contact with the International Student Office President, Curtis Schlag, God rest his soul. He took me to his house, his wife and him, they fed me for like a week. They housed me for the time being until university residence was finally open. So in that time, I had like instance of regret. I called my father, told him I wanted to come back home. And yeah, but we're here. When I finally got to university residence, I remember thinking, is this real food? Milk tasted different. Fruits, bananas, oranges, everything tasted different. For 2 years, I lived in residence. I barely went outside because, there were tunnels. I'll go from my room to my classes.
300,000 to make only 200 when they're even odds. In fact, the fact is it's such a big number, I'm a little worried about it.
Back through the tunnels to my room, yeah. Everything challenged me. The weather was a challenge. The food was a challenge. I always say that you don't understand loneliness until you leave Nigeria and you go somewhere else. It's so easy for you to just be in a silo. I'm Yoruba. Separation by religion is just an idea. It's not a real thing. It was Christmas, everybody ate. Eat, everybody ate. So coming here and then, you spend Christmas by yourself. Like, what is that? Like, that was such a foreign concept to me because, growing up, like every 30 minutes, there was somebody knocking on the door, giving you food. You had new clothes. You would go out and wander around. By like second year, I had made like really close friends that were Nigerian. They really understood like the background and they understood where we're coming from. So a lot of us were students. So the big holidays were still like super lonely because we weren't really doing anything. And then, by the time I started having like my own family, started creating kind of like my own traditions, that made things a lot better. I used to work for a crown corporation. They're like $1 billion crown. A crown corporation is like an agency of the government. It's independent and it's set up to be profitable. I started work there. There was one person who was in charge of the budget. And then I was hired to work for her. And within 6 weeks of me getting there, she left. There were no documentations. There were no procedures because she had done it for a very, very long time. I had to figure it out. I was maybe 2 years or 3 years out of university. I did cash management pretty much determined what position the province was in on any given day for their, credit rating. So it was important that I did it well. And sometimes I would have to physically walk a check of like $40 million to the bank because for some reason we couldn't do e-transfer to the province or whatever. I remember one day I walked the check to the bank and they saw me and they looked at me. They looked at the check. They started asking me questions. I'm like, well, I don't know why you're asking me this question. It's a deposit, not a withdrawal. I'm putting money in an account. So they asked me to sit down. And if that person spoke with the next person, who then spoke with the next person, and then they went upstairs to speak with their manager. And they came back and they started asking me all of these questions. In that instance, I'm like, if I was a different skin tone, a bit older, would you be asking me these questions? And they were like, oh no, we're so sorry, we just really worry. I'm like, it's a deposit, it's not a withdrawal. So that ability to not just take on the role, but also be able to speak for myself. That was all me growing up in Nigeria and just surviving in a space where you almost had to advocate for yourself at every turn. And so that really shaped me. What has been firm and constant for me is just always that feeling of gratitude and contentment in whatever season of life I am in. Being here teaches me to think about the greater good, not just how things benefit me. My husband, he had gone to play soccer one day and he was hit in the eye by a ball. And he was hospitalized for almost 2 weeks, over a week, almost 2 weeks. Different specialists, there was a lot of pressure, trying to save the eye, all of that jazz. And I remember the day it was released and they said, oh, that's it, you can go. That was my first real experience being in the Canadian hospital system. And they said, oh, that's it, you can go. We'll follow up on blah, 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 blah. No bill. No, okay, now this is how much you need to start paying into this. Then fast forwarding to being a tax-paying working individual and seeing that when you get a 20K raise, 12K is yours, 8K is for the government. Seeing that, but understanding fully well that this money goes to roads, it goes to healthcare, it goes to a lot of these services that we think is free, but really we're contributing to. When you see that 8K go off of your paycheck, you're not losing money. You're contributing to the next person who is hospitalized for whatever reason, right? And now they don't have to live with a bill. My Nigerianness is what allows me to be. It's what allows me to be content. It's what allows me to advocate for myself and other people, even in what I eat every day. It's not an identity that I carry with me. It's an identity that is in me. I made it here because I'm always content no matter the season I'm in. Here is a rule-based society, right? There are so many processes and protocols and you don't always understand the why. But I think that if you just look at things as this is seasonal, this is what I need to do right now to get to the next phase, it becomes easy, go lucky, opportunity filled. Just contentment in the season, regardless of what is going on. Moving from that to starting my own business, being able to build something that is not just about me, but something that has been able to really impact people in many ways. That makes me very proud. Home means family, whether it's your chosen family or your blood family, the people that you choose to surround yourself with, and the people that you choose to build life with, right? Regardless of where they're from. Coming to Canada, your family member is from Bayelsa. The other one is from Akwa Ibom. The other one is from Sokoto. And that is your core. That is your family. Those are the people that you call friends. And those are the people that remind you of home. And they're now, your home.